Hello, everyone, and welcome to Virtual Writer. I'm your host, CP Balois. In this episode, I figured we'd step up just a little tiny bit. Last couple weeks, I've been doing a story a day, which is my my daily challenge, where it's a 100-word flash fiction piece. That I publish on my blog and other apps. Just actually, that started back in 2015. Got the idea from a friend. Wanted to do like a story a week or something like that. And I thought, why not do a day? And made the rules. It's always a fun experience. Never know what I'm going to come up with because I come up with different stories in the spot like that. For this one, I talked a little bit about the different ideas, how I go about it, and the purpose of this is for me to show how easy this can be, but also like how hard it can be. All aspects. Because there are warts. I mean, a lot of times we'll see the final product. We don't know how much effort goes into it. We don't know the product. How the product idea, what the author might have gone through, because it's different for all of us. Like for me, like I said, I can just come up with an idea and I can just run with it and see where it goes. Sometimes I finish a story, sometimes it kind of peters off because I have nothing else to put in there. Other people really detail everything and they really go into it and they don't stop until they're done, and it's got to be perfectly else. I mean, and it's great. We all have our different ways of doing it. So for this one, I was thinking, okay, instead of just doing a story a day, how about maybe actually do a short story? Because at some point I do want to take this live and do live episodes. Excuse me. But so right now we take it like this, and it's like, okay, let's show a story. I'm coming as completely clueless. I really have no idea what to write. I'm thinking maybe I'll do something, just a few pages, like just do a little bit here, then continue next couple weeks until the story's done. Just share my process, how I do it, the points I'm making throughout it, how I come up with an idea. For that, as you can see, I have my document here. Let me actually shrink that down. There we go. So got my document ready to go. Um, I do like just using the WordPad, the rich document, because Office, when I have multiple documents going, a lot of times I had trouble because it would want to translate one tile to another one. I don't know why. I'm not the most technologically capable. So it's just, I have fun with technology. Um, so one thing I was going to say, like, what do we want to write? That's always a question. We're not sure what to write. We have ideas, but can we do them? And my train of thought, I mean, this is why for me, I say I love Stephen King's book on writing. For me, it's a writing Bible because it's not so much a how to, but more his experiences explaining how he does things. And he had one thing in there where it's basically my mindset, where he let's take two characters, put them in a situation, see what happens, see where they go with it. Just tell the story, whatever comes to mind comes to mind. And it's a great exercise. I mean, his books are detailed enough where I think it's safe to say that he probably does a lot more planning than just that. But for for me, I've actually done it for whole books. For me, I usually know when I do a story, how I'm going to start it, what climax I want to have happen, and how I want to end. And the rest is the fun. I just get to explore and see what happens. Other writers will, they'll have, excuse me, the other writers will have it so mapped out, like they'll know, like Jane A meets Bobby B on page 126 or whatever. They just know what they're going to do, and it's great. Whatever works for us. I'm a pure pantser. I've tried outlines, and outlines for me tend to hurt. Like I don't. What I mean by that is when I'm writing it, I tend to follow the points in there. I don't kind of wander off and just fill in the gaps as much. So I'm like, I mean, I'll use bullet points. Like I just say, okay, does and just real quick, point, and I'll leave it at that just so I can reference it. But even then, I will have a tendency to where I will want to get from one point to another because I'm like, I got to hit this point. That's how my brain works. We all have our little quirks. Mine is just like that, where I got to follow the instructions to the letter. I'm very literal. As if you tell me to turn right on the second street, I will turn right on the second street, even if it's an alley. I count that as a street. And that's just my brain. So I will try to get from point A to point B and just try to get to each point, and I won't flesh it out. I won't let the characters just flow and let my muse play. So that's kind of what I don't follow. I mean, again, anyone that does, more power to you. I mean, we all have our our ideas, our way of working. It's whatever works for us. You do what works for you. This one do what works for them, and so on. That's a beautiful part about this. This is art. This isn't a scientific formula. You'll see so many people, and that's one of the biggest myths I think online I've seen since I've been doing this since 2010, 2011, is so many people, they have a formula that works for them. And they'll share it, but some will take it as, well, it has to be this way. Or they might even share it saying, you have to do it this way. I mean, I've seen authors like, I mean, it's like that, a lot of us don't have a whole ton of money. It just is what it is. A lot of people don't. So paying for a lot of services is a reach, especially in the return may not make up for it. So, a lot of times we would trade services. Like, say, I'd edit someone's book, they would do a covers. The other one, or we'd trade editing services back and forth. Things like that. We help each other. We're a community. We help lift each other up. There have been some where they've actually set out on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever, that if you're not willing to invest, say, $5,000, $10,000 per book, you shouldn't be writing. Okay, no, I'm very anti-gatekeeper with that thing. We each work with what we have. It's no one has a right to sit there and say who can do what, who can't do what. We get to play. This is our chance to play as adults, like we did in the backyard, playing with our toys. In the backyard, the living room floor, whatever. So, all that said, because the recording has to be 30 minutes, so I'm going to try to keep it in that realm and stop and yakking so much. What do we want to write today? Like I said, if it's a short story, excuse me a second. If it's a short story, it's something we want to involve, but not too involved, if that makes any sense. Because it can become more. I mean, you never know. I've had things where I thought it'd be short stories and it'd be novels, and things that I thought would be novels and it'd be short stories. So this is just a simple exercise. So do we want to go too in depth? And if we don't, then that kind of takes like mystery off the table, because mystery is a very detail-oriented genre. I'll talk about that in my Author's Mind podcast that I'll be recording after this. That'll be up later today as well. Certain things like horror. Well, what kind of horror? Because we really got to get. Sometimes I get that thinking, how can we do this? How can we make the scene like so disturbing? Perfect example of my second slasher book. I had in this one house I had an older man with his wife, and his wife has passed. And my thought there was, how can I come up with something that's so endearing and lovable, shows his love for his wife, but is so creepy and really messed up? And I thought, he had her stuffed. He went to a taxidermist, he studied with her, and he had his wife stuffed. Extremely creepy, extremely off-putting. I mean, this is like almost out of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre type of thing, just out of a horror movie. But at the same time, he's a very kind and loving man. He just couldn't let her go. So sometimes like that, scenes like that, we want to take time to think about it. And that's one thing when doing this storyline or others like this, I want to do them. I'm just going to do them here. So we're all in the same. I'm not going to work on it outside of this. I shut this down. I want to just forget it. And just kind of put it aside because I want to keep it fresh. So like I said, if anyone has any ideas, throw in the comments, whatever, that's fine. We can see where we're going with it or what you think of it, how you think it's going. If you have any different ways of doing something, by all means, share them in the comments. I said, we're here supporting each other. It's just me showing my process to hopefully help others understand, the good and the bad, ones that may be getting into it, those that might be stuck, or those like myself who for the longest time thought I was a freak because I wasn't doing an outline. It's all different kinds. So it's like, that's, we're doing this. So any ideas, any, comments are always welcome. Like I said, it's like, so what do we want to do? It's like, we just do a feel good story. I know for me, horror comes very easy. I'm just a horror fan. You do satire like, like Mark Twain type. So really, it's wide open. Like I said, I haven't thought about this at all. So this is kind of my process. If I'm going to sit down and write, okay, I have an idea. I have different genres I would love to write. I'd love to write a Western. I'd love to write more sci-fi. I'd love to write a mystery. I'd love to write those genres, like a Rom Com, romance comedy. I'd like to do those. And it's like, it's going through the process. Like, well, how do you do it? How do you come up with characters? one thing you can do is, helps them out. I got this word. I read the Dragonlance book. I love them. Dramatis Personae. It's basically the cast. You can create your characters. Your names, brief descriptions. I mean, I use this for Slasher because I want to keep track of everybody, because I know it's got a lot of people in those books that are going to, be killed off, because it's a hard book. It happens. But again, like for mysteries, other ones, you need to keep track of what your character's doing, and it's easy to forget that maybe you had Tom walk out of a room and page, say, 25, but then page 50, he's still sitting in the room. So it's easy to forget little things like that. I mean, that's what you go back and adding for. This just won't throw stuff out, but okay, let's just throw a couple names I can see. Let's see, Janet, 27. She's a teacher, maybe high school. Let's see. It's like, you can put in what she looks like. Like I said, for me, descriptions, I'll describe them once, but then leave them go. Because no matter how people describe what people look like in their books, I always just put my own picture in there. I just do. Again, that's my mind. We're all different. We all have our different thoughts on it. So let's see. She's young. She's okay. Typical 27-year-old. We all know them. So it's like we can, flip that in later on, or in the beginning, however we want to. Like sometimes just say it here. Like just say, okay, she's size 5'4", dirty blonde hair for no other reason outside of because I'm just trying to grasp that. And it's like what slim build. And see, and hobbies, loves reading, reality TV, game shows. I mean, that's I'll make this stuff up as I go. A lot of times I'll choose a character in the story because I only use Dramatis Personae as a person at a certain time. I got that actually name usage, Dramatis Personae Dragonlance, so I mentioned it. For me, it sounds fancy, but it's just, I never include in my books. It's just my own notes. But it sounds fancy. I just kind of like the way it sounds. I mean, you just say your own cast, whatever you do. I mean, it's just me. I'm not showing off. It's just what works for me. But so that's how I come with a character. Actually, for her last name, let's see, how about just Janet Wild? I have no idea. I have no idea why. I have no idea what the name came up with. I just, it's just something, a character. Let's see. It's like, again, we don't even know what we're writing yet, right? Maybe sometimes this will help generate the story. Let's see. She has a best friend. Say, like Thompson. See, this is one thing I'm good at. I'm good at just coming up with names. This is what it is. About the same age-ish. Maybe you're younger. Yeah, let's make her a writer. Why not, right? That's so fun. Freelance. That's even more fun. If anyone's ever tried that, you know what I'm talking about. It's hard. She's about maybe, say 5'3". Black hair. Let's say, poorly built. Just, that's also a stereotype for writers. Yeah, well, it's whatever. Not too worried about stereotypes. I like having fun with them anyway. And just put that just because I just said that. He's athletic, loves handball. Don't ask me why. That's just a thing that popped in my head right now. I really sucked at handball in school. I tried in gym class. Oh my god, it was horrible. And tennis. Oh, I hit the ball everywhere but where it's supposed to go. I cannot put any power on it at all. So, let's see. Yeah, play another writer. Stereotype. Let's see. Those soap operas. Okay, no reason. Maybe it's like you can actually just make her. Oops. Hopeless romantic. She watches soap operas. She wants that like everlasting love like they have on there, but it's like okay. So we got the two friends. Um, let's see. Let's throw a guy into the mix. Again, don't necessarily get these names. I just kind of pop names in my head. Yeah, make him 23. Why not? And what's he doing? Hmm. They don't want to use Uber name because it's a brand name in a way. But let's see. Let's go with taxi driver. Since a lot of people are doing that right now, we can just say that. It's just we can change that later on. We can come up with a company name ourselves, so it's something different. Everyone knows what it'll be, but it's not. So instead of using Uber and Lyft, we can come up with our own name. He's a yeah. This 6'3". See, now I feel bad because the others are sort of like, yeah, you know what? Just to make, oops, just to mix this up a little bit. Nah, I keep it the way it was. Yeah, let's see. I don't like to say overweight so much. It's like more like poorly because you can be overweight and athletic. I mean, when I was in school, I'm a big guy, but I could play hockey, I'd be athletic, I could do splits, and sometimes I shouldn't. So I kind of look at different terminology. I mean, I usually keep them usually athletic or slim or maybe just a little bit bigger. So it's like poorly for me is like almost like chunky. It's like kind of in the middle. It's not like body shame, but it's like it's what people are. It's just kind of yeah. We'll see. Yeah, again, we can always change these later. These are just off the top of my head right now. It's like da, 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 da. James being right. Of course he is. Of course he does. Why not? You get around those people, you get those stories, right? People watching. That's our number one thing for writers. um, okay. This is like I said. This would actually happen with the majority. This is what I'm thinking here. Okay, like this would almost be like a rom com, which is a romance. My thought process right now is that we have Becky and Shane, who I can't believe I misspelled it. There you go. That they're actually the love interests. Let's just say the main character could be Janet. It's like to her point of view, or we can change points of view the different chapters, or different chapters, or just a story. I mean, it could be hers. Like she's trying to set them up, maybe. Her friends kind of just eyeing this guy, whatever it is, or she sees him, eyeing her, and her friends kind of trying to play it up, but she knows, just like maybe gossiping, and she decides to maybe try to hook them up. It's a simple, it could be a simple, quick one, just a couple comedy moments. As a freelance writer, works from home. He could be the delivery person. He could end up somehow getting her orders more than most people. They start talking, they get along. Janet notices her. Notices their chemistry, how they're going back and forth. And like they're just you just see it. You just see people. They start talking. It's like, they're a cute couple. You just start thinking like, yeah, they'd be good together. And again, people watching. And right there, I think we kind of have our short story on that one. We have our short story idea. As for a title, that's another. Hey, yeah, that's gonna be another fun one. Hmm. That's actually some. This is not something that's actually decent. I usually come up with a title. Again, this is all off the wall, so I'm sitting here trying to. Again, this is part of the process. You got to think. I mean, I know people. I mean, I've done it. You'll sit there you spend days or hours trying to hammer it out. Like you want to get like a cast. You want to get this. You want to get that. You want to make sure you get stuff right. Anyway, lost in love. Why not? Right? It's the way it works. We're gonna change it. We can. We can change it. Like I said, all this is really for me. I mean, this is pretty much this is almost like an outline for me. Like I said, how the different I'll do the characters, have the idea. But most of the time, to be honest, this is the first time I've actually done it like this. So you guys have actually just witnessed it first. I usually have the story in my head, like whether it's slash or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, now I need to cast, and then what kind of characters I want to see. Like I want this one, I want that one, and then try to keep it even. Like say, like in slash, I try to keep it where you had like X number of boys, X number of girls, type of thing. It's like maybe we'll keep it kind of even. So it's like so you have the because my thought was I didn't want to have one in that case I didn't have want to have one large group of one and one large group of another to make it seem like one's going to get picked on more and one's going to easier to survive. I didn't want to like give predeterminations like that. Um, Hindsight, that actually might have been a good idea. Really suck other people because I love messing with, again as a writer, love messing with people's minds, love getting unexpected. Kind of cool. Like okay, well, say you have a large group of guys, well they'll be safe because they're guys. Who's going to miss the guys? They would get hit hard. Or a large group of girls, and maybe they stick together, and they actually would fend off the killer. Same idea for another story later on. Could also do something like that. But see, just different things like that. I didn't even consider that until just now. I just want to keep it even because if it's cool, like say 10 and 10 or whatever. So everyone has someone else to work off of. So it's not like kind of overbalanced or whatever. It's just that's my main thing, my sense of proportion. Just say, so I'm bad at art. Like I said, I can't. You're doing like a brick wall. I need to draw a brick. Every single spot has that brick. I can't just do a couple lines. So that when I used to draw, I couldn't. I'm bad at drawing. Stick figures flip me off. But I always have to completely fill it in. I cannot. My OCD, whatever you want to call it, my sense of proportion, I cannot do that. Even now, if something on this side of something, I got to have something on this side too. I got to balance it out. So it's the mind of a writer, right? We all have our quirks. But okay, so we have this story started. The idea for it, and like I said, I've always done the cast like this, the dramatic persona after the fact. I've never after had a story idea that I knew what I wanted to do. I needed to flesh it out. So this is actually, or first, actually pretty cool for me because I've never actually. I was saying to use this as an idea. I've only said that before. I've actually never tried it. That's actually pretty cool. Okay, so we're gonna start the story now. We need a setting, right? We need to put them somewhere. They need. I mean, let's say okay, let's say that Becky's right. Maybe her and Janet. 'Cause I'm gonna. This is another reason I found for myself having this section like have this a separate document. Because then you don't have to scroll up or down constantly. You just open the document, click over. You forget a name, click over. That's their name. That's what they look like. It's like we're good to go. It's easier. At least for me, it's easier having two different documents like that. That's why they're never included in the book because they're always separate. Again, that's how my head works. Also, I also don't want to give away because my thing I want to put in there, you know, like how they might die or certain quirks or something that might want to be a surprise for the reader. It's like this is like my notes. These are my like in school. I don't know if they still have it. It's been 30 years since I was in school, so I don't know if they still have them. But they had you had your textbooks, you had the teachers' textbooks. Like the math textbook would have the answers written in there, in like red ink or whatever. And this is kind of my teacher's book. You know what I'm saying? Like my notes. Like when we get to we buy a final book, we don't see the notes. We don't see the thought process. We don't see the character listings. Usually, that's separate because that's that all came together to create the story we're reading. So I look at it as like my master notes. My teacher's notes. So it's yeah, it can be looked at a bit really pompous way maybe or whatever, but that's just how I kind of look at it. It's separate. It's our notes. We don't usually publish our notes. We can if we really want to have people confused half the time because I know my notes. Oh my god, I look at my notes sometimes. I don't know what I'm thinking. I just don't. So okay, so we can just start this off here. Let's just let's see. Okay, we got it set up. This would be let's say Becky's apartment. It's like oops. I'm tapping on the keyboard, trying to think what's happened. Let's see. Okay, then have night, maybe a storm. Give them something more to talk about, something like that. Let's see. All right, my typos aren't that bad this time. as I say that. I swear to God, Lou's a better speller. You know, it's like autocorrect either kills me or it loves me. Take your pick. It's just okay. Just setting it up. My thought process in here is I really have no clue. So like I said, I just kind of write as it comes to me. And this one, I want to say like, she's in okay, she's at her friend. She's just kind of bored. It's a little brief in the inside character. Like for me, again, this is just a habit I do. I like saying their full name the first time they're introduced. Like I said, if I do a character description outside of maybe the clothes or hair or whatever it is, I'll do it initially and then I'll forget about that. I'll just say, okay, they did the hair or they did that or she changed shirts and they went from a blue shirt to a red shirt, whatever, something like that. So it's for me, it's just how I like to introduce it. Just okay, that's her name, Janet Wild, and make sure I spelled it right. Yep, I got it right. Okay, it's Janet Wild. I didn't just mess up her name. And this one, okay, she's like, whether I mean, that's I said, I mean, I live in Florida, and until last year or so, it would rain like that here. It would rain for like 20 minutes, stop, everything would dry up, then rain for another 20 minutes after that. Last year has been more steady, but that's pretty much the law of the land here, where it rains 20 on, 20 off, 20 on, 20 off, and it's just odd. But so it's like and it gets annoying at times because it always does that when you're going somewhere or when you're out. Like I said, you go into the store, it might rain. You're in a checkout lane, it's not raining yet. You hit that exit, and it's pouring. It's like a monsoon every time. And of course, that's the day when you're parked halfway, across the world at the front of the parking lot. It's just, Murphy's Law, right? So it's kind of like that mindset in a way. Like I said, I always put a lot of myself into characters, like my own quirks, my experiences, what my friends have had, my friends, my family. So it's little things like that. So it's kind of that she's like there. It bothers because she's always caught in it, but at least she's not this time. So, okay. And I forgot her friend's name already. Oh, her best friend and main character. I forget her name. The other one, it ran into a slight problem. It ran over the 30-minute limit, so it stopped recording automatically. So just gonna finish this up real quick. Don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but I mean, you did do a lot of talking in this one, obviously. So I'm gonna try to, just do more writing, next time. So just want to get everything set up today. But as I was gonna explain when it got cut off, it's like I wanted to add some dialogue here for Janet, just to, you know, okay, yeah, she's commenting on the whole thing there. It's like, just simple set. Sometimes you get more, sometimes not. I'm not a big fan of dialogue tags in general. I've gotten to have to use them over the years. I always kind of like use action, like I said, here we go again. Janet shook her head. So in this case, like here's like, I love head motions. Like I used to write third person edition all the time, and I love that. I love that style. And to signify when we call it head hopping, which it is, but it's not. Head hopping is when you do it in the same paragraph type of thing. In omniscient, you always do something with the head when you want to pretend like they have with the nose, scratch their head, shake their head. Anything with the head would signify the reader you're in this person's point of view. POV now, point of view. So I kind of got used to habit doing that. I just like doing that stuff. And here it's like in this one we used to have a satellite service, and every time a cloud would go overhead, we'd lose reception. A windy day, we'd lose reception. It just is what it is. I mean, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Depends. So I just want to incorporate some of that. Like I said, we didn't exactly, like I said, we only wrote like 108 words, but we did. Like I said, we set it up, we got the story going. So we do have the groundwork set for next episode, and as I said, and maybe I'll just do more writing and just explain some of the thought process in there. So going forward, so it'll be a little more streamlined. So I just mainly wanted to. This one was just mainly just me setting it up. I actually almost didn't think about actually getting in, actually writing anything. Like this is actually just like kind of a spur of the moment thing. I was like, well, it's not fair to talk about this and not do some writing. So, I mean, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it gives some insight, at least into how I do something. Maybe it helps you understand why you do something. Maybe it gives you ideas. Whatever works. I mean, this is for anybody to find and work however they can. It's that's simple. We're not alone. And as writers, we often feel alone, because we can commiserate over certain things, but unless we're actually sitting in a group, we tend not to look in depth at something like this. We tend to just sit there in ourselves and just deal with our own, like I put phrase, issues. So that's everything, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time. If you could please like, subscribe, share, and let me know in the comments what you think. What are your tricks you use? What tricks do you like? What don't you like? Let me know. Have a great one, guys. And as always, let your imaginations fly. Oops. See you guys.